over the past couple of years, I've been a big, I hate saying fan, but I have been following Nick Rekieta, right? I have been talking about a lot of the situations he gets into, the controversies, the issues, like the nonsense that goes on and his channel and in that sector. There's been a handful of things I've addressed over the years. I've been mostly focusing on like Nick himself and his like inadequacy as a lawyer and his just like his failures as a human being. Like it's been something I've been talking about on this channel quite a lot. And recently, with recent events in my life, with recent changes and like aspirations, I've kind of been thinking a little bit about like how watching this kind of content has affected me. Like, what exactly have I learned from Nick Rekieta? And I do think, like, looking back on it, like thinking back on these situations, on the nonsense, on like just the ramblings, and like I feel as if because I paid attention to this guy for so long, I have a completely warped idea on how the world actually works, right? These guys are going on live streams talking all this nonsense about like male female relationships, about like the law, about like systems, about like what's actually going on in the world. And even if you like don't agree with it, even if like you're like me and are very critical of everything these guys are saying, like I'm not saying I ever agreed with them, but I'm saying that like listening to these guys talk for so long has warped my worldview a little bit, right? It's only been relatively recently, ever since I like, found the time and like took the effort, right, to like go outside and talk to new people and like interact with like interact with like the people around me, like try to be more involved in my community. I kind of realized that like everything that people like Drexel say about society is wrong. Specifically, the notion that women are evil creatures that are out to get you, right? Like this is the big thing that kind of I think kind of misinterpreted from Rekieta Law and like and Friends, right? Is this idea that like, oh man, these women, they're going around, they're divorcing guys for no reason. They're doing this, they're doing that. Like, oh man, look how terrible these Instagram whores are. Like look at the crazy things they're doing. Look at how they disrespect the men in their lives. Look at this, look at this, look at this. And like even if you know it's nonsense, even if you like know that it's like a fringe minority of people doing this, like I do, right? Like a part of you really starts like processing it and really starts wondering like to what extent this is a problem. Like how many people are doing the things that Drexel says they do, right? Like, the way Drexel talks, it's like, oh man, 90% of chicks are going out like cheating all the time, and like 90% of their boyfriends are just sitting home alone while they get ran through by like black bulls. You you start to realizing eventually, like once you start interacting with real people and start like having real experiences that the do nothing upper class lifestyle that Drex and Rekieta enjoy is very much removed from like the vast majority of the population. Like not even like people in the upper class, right? Because most people in the upper class like actually earn their money, they actually do things with their lives. They support the community. They have like stable families and good relationships with other people. Like Nick and Drexel are people who I would say are part of the problem, right? Because these are over sexualized dipshits who seem to only care about like the sexual aspect of like interacting with women, right? Like that is the end goal of like interacting with a woman to these people is like having sex. And to me, that's like such a completely, I hate saying completely alien, but like it's it's something that I've grown to realize is not really the end goal at all. Like for me, it's like if you want to have a good, fulfilling relationship with another person, like you should respect them and understand that they have like needs and desires and like dreams of their own, right? Like you can't expect them to revolve their lives around you and your desires and what you want and your ideas and like things like that. Like for me, it's like it's a partnership, right? Like you're supposed to respect each other. But like with the way like Drexel and Nick like act all the time is that like the way it comes off is that like Drexel's just like, oh, look, these guys are just like, oh, women are only for sex. They only do this for you. Like every relationship is purely transactional. Like women don't have like women can't feel emotions. They don't feel love for other people. They can't feel sympathetic. They can't like they don't care about men at all, right? And that is blatantly untrue, right? Like that's just not in reality. You really question just how often like Nick and Drexel even interact with other women with these kind of assertions that like women have no women don't care for other people at all. They're sociopaths. It's just complete crap. It always has been, but I want to like admit to myself that like there was a part of me that thought that like, oh, maybe I should be cautious about the women I interact with. Maybe I should be like a lot more aloof and distant and not like really become invested in these people and their lives and stuff like that. And over the past year, I've kind of realized that's not really what I want. Like, I want to be a good person. I want to be like interacting with these people. I want to be there for them and support them, even if I'm not in a sexual relationship with them, right? Like that's the thing here is that like why would I want to have sex with every single woman that I interact with, right? Like why would I ever want that? Like it's that's not a desirable thing for me personally. So it's like I feel like that is the root of all of Drexel's problems, right? All of Nick Rekieta's problems, all the incel problem in general, is that like when you get right down to it, the only reason these people care about women at all is for sex. They don't treat them or think of them like people whatsoever, right? And as a result of that, all the relationships they do have with women are shallow, unfulfilling, purely based on sexual needs, right? It's not it's not a real relationship. It is empty, it is hollow, it has no value whatsoever, like at all. And they get surprised when things start falling apart. Like, oh man, how dare this woman treat me this way? When in reality, like you are part of the problem. I hesitate to say like they are always the problem, but like yeah, when you get right down to it, like when you look at the situations that Drexel gets into, the conversations he has, the way he treats other people, the way he talks, like you come away with this feeling that yeah, he is the problem. Like when you look at the incel community, when you see them like try and say that like, oh, it doesn't matter how many women I talk to, not a single of them, one of them will talk to me. Like you understand that the incel, are the problem. Like if you interact with these people enough, when you see them like try and cope with saying, aha, eventually they're going to have robo sex anime waifus, and suddenly I won't have to deal with real women at all. Like you really get this mindset that these people they're just completely warped, twisted, and evil. I would say. Like I have. It's a weird situation to be sure, right? It's one of those things where these guys, these incels, and yeah, I'm throwing Drex in there as well. These incels, like Drexel, they get upset for the the barest inconvenience, like the most trifling inconveniences when it comes to like interacting with women. Like, oh man, how dare I have to have female chaperones when I interact with these women? Like, how dare like there be age of consent laws? How dare there be this, that? Like, how dare women be protected by the government to a certain extent? Like, how dare this? Like, it just comes off as if like these guys are just coping with the fact that they aren't capable of being a good a good partner to any of these women, right? They are complete failures as human beings. Now, I'm not saying there aren't terrible women out there. Quite the contrary. You can just go on like female dating strategy or like any of these like weird subreddits, and like you'll find a bunch of toxic people. But like the way it looks to me is that like the toxic people from both sides are just like constantly interacting, while like the good normal people just get into and stay in committed normal relationships for life, right? Like that's the way it kind of looks like it looks like to me. If you're still dating in your 20s, you're doing it wrong, right? Like it's just like No, like you are a problem, and you have to like understand your problem and do your best to fix the problem, right? And the problem is not with every single person of the opposite sex that you interact with. Like the problem starts with you, right? Like if you're the one not getting what you want in these situations, you are absolutely the problem. No matter what she does, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what the current culture is, it's your problem and you have to fix it.